Three.
Hello, everyone. Sufit here. I'm here today with Charles B. Ticker, estate mediator, and we're here to discuss an interesting topic, the 3 things that shut down a mediation before it even gets started. So welcome, Charles.
Hi, Sophie.
So what is the first one? What would you say is the first thing that just shuts down a mediation before it even has a chance?
Well, the mediator walks into the room and says, well, this is how I see it. This is what I think it's worth. And I think this is what you should do without even getting any information about the client or their background. I've seen that happen, and that will turn off the participant immediately and most likely result in a failed mediation.
But what if the mediator really has spent the whole night before reading the briefs, looking at all the information, knows everything, and just wants to save the participants time and money and just wants to cut to the chase?
Well, that's one of the great challenges of mediating and being a mediator, because you got to be very careful, because you're there as a neutral, at least to be perceived by the parties as neutral. But seriously, you're there as a neutral, not really there to your. And as I tell the clients, the parties, I'm not here to pass judgment. I have no authority to make a decision or say anything binding on you. So yeah, when you're reading the briefs, you might say, well, it looks like so and so has the weaker case of the two, but you. One of the things that's going to lead to a successful mediation is uh, gaining the trust of the parties. And if you show favorites and come on too hard on one side, and they're going to say, well, you're not being neutral, and you're not listening. Like the client wants to tell their story, so you have to be patient. Even if you're saying, well, this is makes no sense, you got to let them get it out, because that's part of the process. That's part of them get dealing with the conflict and building trust, getting their story out. And then what you do as mediator is try to help them to get beyond that and say, I hear you, but have you thought about this? What
All
it would
right.
look like if you settle, that sort of thing. So it's a challenge, but if you do that too early, you're going to lose the trust, and it's over.
So what I'm hearing you say, even if it's not a situation, of lack of neutrality or coming down on one side or the other, what I'm hearing you say is that people need to feel heard. Is that right?
Exactly. And there's techniques that we use as mediators to let people know they're being heard, something called active listening, where you may summarize what they just told you, or even repeat without sounding like a parrot what they said to you. You have to really show that you're listening to what they're saying.
Okay.
That's one of the things I stress in my opening remarks, is that, we're going to spend some time talking about the family and your experience. And, if you go to a hearing, a judge is not really going to be that interested in hearing you about that. So today's your opportunity to talk to me about these issues. So it's very important.
Okay. Okay. So number one, don't come in and say, here's how I see it, because people that need to feel heard. Number two, what would you say is the second thing that shuts down a mediation before it even gets off the ground?
Just not being prepared with all the relevant information and documentation. I mean, uh, I've had to adjourn mediations because the parties don't even know what the size of the estate is. They're still waiting on some bank statements, or whatever, and or evaluation for real property. And how can you have a discussion about how to divvy up the estate pie when you don't have a sense of what the pie might be worth or how big it is? Um, Another problem is not, let's say it's a will challenge and no one has got a copy, no one's obtained an order to get a copy of the drafting lawyer's notes. And they say, well, we're pretty sure this is what it's going to say, but without seeing what's in there, how can you really talk about it intelligently? So lack of information, lack of documentation, just not being, just maybe being booking the mediation, excuse me, too early in the day, so you can't have an intelligent discussion or negotiation.
Does that really happen, that people show up without, like, copy of the basic documents that they need?
Yes, it happens, and it's very frustrating what happens. And And sometimes I have to take counsel aside into my so-called virtual office and say, hey, folks, you're not ready to mediate this. Let's come back in a month or two. Go out and get that information so we don't spend a day fighting about something that we shouldn't be fighting about.
Okay, good point. Number two is don't show up without all the key information and documents. And Charles, what would you say is the third big thing that shuts down a mediation before it gets off the ground?
Um, Counsel getting in the way and not, doing a proper job of being an advocate at a mediation as opposed to at a hearing. And what do I mean by that? They haven't prepared their clients for the mediation, managed the client's expectations as what to expect to happen in mediation. Clients come and say, "Look, this is what I want. And that's it. I'm entitled to this. I have a great case, and I'm not prepared to, consider compromise." They don't really understand what a compromise is, and sometimes it's also the lawyers, for whatever reason, um, are getting in the way of the settlement by putting up roadblocks, by taking unreasonable positions, by encouraging their clients to make what I call stupid offers. Usually, the first round of offers, I call that the stupid offers. The claimant is making that really high ball, and then the person on the other side, the respondent, saying, "Well, you're going to highball me. I'm going to lowball you," and you waste an hour over what I call a stupid offer. So that is a problem. Counsel have to realize that mediation is not a trial. Mediation is there where the parties are to be encouraged to settle the case, and we have, lawyers have a professional duty to encourage settlement, unless it prejudices the client's position. But there's still a lot of counsel that look at mediation or settlement as, weak or a bad thing, and it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. And I tell the clients, you'll get on with your life. You'll stop paying thousands of dollars for lawyers. Stop getting ill from lack of sleep or stress. I said, the settlement's a good thing, not a bad thing. So just to sum it up, is clients just not being prepared with the right mindset um, to enter into a settlement negotiations, and counsel not facilitating the process, but actually getting in the way of the process.
Okay, there you have it. The third one, counsel getting in the way. So there you have it, Charles B. Ticker, with the three things that shut down a mediation before it even gets started. Charles, thank you very much.
My pleasure.